I'm finally making the risky decision of stepping into the spotlight of the internet and giving my 2 cents on what I think will be happening this upcoming NFL season. I say risky because the NFL is a toxic community. They'll have no problem throwing tomatoes at you if you so much as forget the backup left tackle for a college football team that nobody really pays any attention to. You know, it's a strict community, and I've already gotten a taste of that in a couple of my already made videos. So I thought, now that I've already dipped my toes in, may as well just jump into the pool entirely. So I'm just going to go over all the NFL teams, the state they're in right now, real briefly, and how I think their season will go. I'm also going to categorize them, put them in different sections that I think represent them the best. So we'll start with the first one. Top dogs. Obviously, you know, the best teams in the league right now. We'll start with the Super Bowl champions, the Eagles. They have stopped the Chiefs from three-peating, as they have stopped the Patriots from three-peating not too many years prior to this one. I still think the Eagles are really good on both sides of the ball. Not a whole lot has changed. Their roster hasn't changed a whole lot. I have them going a respectable 12-5. Nothing more, because I do feel like the Redskins or even the Cowboys might surprise us and take the division, because if you've been keeping up with the NFC East, repeating over there is not really a thing that happens. Just for that reason alone, I don't think the Eagles will win the division again. I do have them going back to the playoffs, but they might lose on some dumb shit again. The Chiefs, a team I'm sure everybody loves right now. They're still one of the best out there right now, even if it's not in a way that everybody really likes. You know, fact of the matter is they're still the team to beat. They're still up there. They're still a top dog right now. The thing is, I really don't know where to put the Chiefs, how to predict their season, because I feel like whatever I predict for them, they do the opposite. So like when they win against the Bucks in the Super Bowl, I bet on the Chiefs to win. I put like actual money on these bastards to beat the Bucks in the Super Bowl, and then they go and do this shit. The 2023 season, they were off to a shit start, and I thought, maybe this is really the end of the Chiefs dynasty. Maybe this is really where it ends for them. And then they go and win the Super Bowl. So I don't even know what to do with these guys. I'm just going to say that they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Just go all the way again in hopes that they don't do that. And if they don't, you guys can thank me later for it. Next, you got the Detroit Lions, who had a regular season beyond Detroit fans' comprehension, and then a very abrupt end to the season. I'm going to give them a pass because they were pretty injured last year, I will admit. They did have a lot of injuries, especially on the defense. They were missing a lot of big players. But this year, no more bullshit, Detroit, all right? You went all the way. You went to the NFC Championship against the Niners, lost. Okay, fine, whatever. You know, those kind of the come-up season. Last year, you were injured. Fine, okay? This year is the year, all right? No more bullshit. It's time to go all the way this time. Fuck all these other teams. This is the year for the Lions. I have them going 13-4. I don't think they'll pull that 15-2 bullshit again, but I think they will win their division and even be the number 1 seed. Lastly, for the top dogs, you have the September Saints, which I feel like this is a very underrated team. You know, the September Saints, they really do be stomping on some of these teams. It doesn't matter who you throw at them. At the worst, they'll put up a great game. And then maybe even blow out whoever they're going against. We've seen it last year. We've seen it in the years prior to this one. They've been doing it for a little while now. But the September Saints, like, you could even argue that they're the best team in the NFL. This year, you know, it's a pretty fair schedule. It'll be interesting to see how they start out this year. But I have them going 3-1. I say that's about right. Maybe lose once, but I feel like they're going to knock out 3 of these teams because, you know, don't underestimate the September Saints. They really are something special. Next, you got the threats. These are teams that are, you know, not quite Super Bowl caliber, but they will fuck you up if you underestimate them. We'll start with the Redskins, a team that has kind of been the icon of an unexpected threat last year, waking up and deciding, let's go to the NFC Championship for the first time in I don't know how long. I don't know about Super Bowl, but I do think it's very likely that they'll make another good playoff run. I have them going 12-5 because their schedule is a bit tough. And then also their division is pretty tough as well. They have the Eagles. Cowboys might be a threat. So I have another good... I think the Washington will have another good year. I think they will. Next, you got the Rams. I really don't like the Rams. I have them going 13-4. And even though that would make me sick, it's a pretty realistic record for them, because if you look at their schedule, it's actually kind of light. And they proved to be a pretty decent team last year, and I think 13-4 sounds about right. Next, you got the Packers and Texans. I'm going to go over them both at the same time because I feel like they're riding the same boat here, where they're threats, they're definitely solid teams, but how long are you just going to stay like that? When are you going to come up and become a real scary team that's Super Bowl caliber? That's what everyone's waiting for. I understand that they keep going against some of the best teams in the playoffs and losing to them, and that's fine, but obviously you can't keep leaning on that excuse, because it's when are you going to become that team? When are you going to become the top dog, the one that's favored to win all the time? That's what the folks are waiting for. Pretty good, but not all that, and looking at their schedule, they both have it kind of rough. It's not going to be easy for either team. Stop letting these, top dog teams just bully you around. That can't keep happening. Now is the year where you got to start showing some improvement. So Texans 10-7, Packers 10-7. Next, you have the Broncos, who had a pretty solid year last year. They made the playoffs for the first time in a little too long, and that's great. Finally moving up a little bit. I would say their only issue is that they don't have enough big name players, but of course you don't need big name players to, be great. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna see where this year takes them. Hopefully they do really good and win the AFC West, because I'm tired of watching the Chiefs do it. But hopefully the Broncos keep doing what they're doing, if not better. I have them going 10-7. Their schedule's not too hard, but there's still a lot of question marks with this team that are left to be answered. So I think 10-7 is about right. Elite bottom feeders. These three teams are elite until it matters most. All three of these guys should have a ring by now. They're constantly having these excellent, beautiful seasons and even making good playoff runs, and then they have it get shut down, usually by the Chiefs, which I find ironic. But it really sucks because all three of these guys are so entertaining to watch, or at least they were, and now they're just kind of getting predictable. Oh, look at this 99-yard rushing touchdown by Josh Allen. Doesn't matter, they lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs. Look at Lamar Jackson, he caught his own pass and ran it in for the touchdown. Doesn't matter, Mark Andrews dropped the 2-point conversion. Oh, look at the 49ers doing everything right and blow another 10-point lead. And it's frustrating because, again, these guys have been Super Bowl worthy for multiple years now, and they just can't stop getting in their own way. If the Bills keep doing what they're doing and stop missing it wide right, then I see them going 12-5, and that should be another deep playoff run right there. Hopefully they get over the Chiefs this time. Ravens, if y'all get some receivers that stop fucking around, that's a 12-5 right there. You're in a pretty tough division, so, there's that. But that's another Super Bowl worthy team. And then the 49ers. Oh, God, have you seen their schedule? That's as light as it gets right there. I have the Niners going 13-4. And I understand they're coming off of a real injured season. They're really beat to shit, or they were. Just look at their schedule. There's no reason to lose more than 4 of these games. There really isn't. The 49ers should be in the playoffs this year. I'm not expecting a Super Bowl. I was any of those other past 5-6 years, though. I was expecting that. But I'm just saying, get back on track. Get your groove right again. And then maybe next year could be the year. But these guys, I really need one of these three to win the Super Bowl. It's stressing me out. It's stressing your fans out. It's stressing all sorts of people out. It's just crazy how consistently you guys choke on your own shit after doing so well so many times. It's crazy. I mean, seriously, the only thing I want more than a refined version of Rico's diss track.
Hit you on your mouth. Nigga talking hella shit, but that is not allowed. Bitches Rico in this bitch, and I'm getting clout. Bitches Rico in this bitch, I'm with Cuff'em now, bitch. I'm with Rico in this bitch, I'm with YTG. Nah, bitch, I'm BAU.
Is for one of these teams to finally earn that well-deserved Super Bowl ring. I don't think I'm asking for much here. Next, we got the stock teams. These are the mid teams that, just kind of take up space. And I know it's quite a mouthful, but stay with me now. I'm going to try and speedrun this. We'll start with the Seahawks. They're overhyped, and they got a coach that, we have yet to see how good he'll do. Their defense is fine. Their offense ain't all that, and they're working with a division that they're already struggling to handle. I got the Seahawks going 8-9. Next, you got the Cowboys coming off of an injured season. I feel like they'll bounce back and go right back to being a first-round playoff exit. That at best. I have them going 10-7. Next, you got the Falcons. This team is just so disorganized. I feel like they don't know what they're doing. I feel like they haven't known what they're doing ever since that game. But they're signing some, big-name players. They're just not doing a whole lot with them, And you're in an easy division, too. The NFC South is kind of light. Your only competition really is the Bucks, and they're not doing so great themselves. It's just all about getting organized and utilizing your weapons properly. As for the Saints, I know I hyped up the September Saints, but outside of September, there's really nothing special about this team. They're also disorganized, don't really know what they're doing. Not a whole lot to look at with this team. I'm 6-11, I guess. Panthers, not a whole lot to say either. They're still working it out. There's Bryce Young. That's cool. 6-11. Chargers. They had an all-right year, then a very disgusting finish to it. Much like the Cowboys, they'll have a nice regular season and then fold in the first round. So they need to knock that shit off, especially when you have Jim Harbaugh as a coach. Like, last year is your last pass. Like, it's time to, do something. Just win a game. Just win one playoff game, and we'll be content with that for now. 9-8, don't see them winning the division. I don't even see them passing the Broncos. I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs. But 9-8 is where I got them. Patriots look a bit more promising. They didn't do super good last year, but I saw some flashes of hope on that team. Drake May looked good enough. He looked sufficient. Their running game looked real good. Their defense looked pretty solid. I think this is the year where they step up and start to show that they're growing and everything's starting to click. I have the Patriots going 9-8. You got the Colts, who show some flashes of promise that ultimately leads to nothing. They've been mid for a few years now. I don't see why they would come up this year. 6-11. The Titans are the epitome of a mid-stock team, in my eyes at least. Like, every time I look over, I just fall asleep. Like, some people, when they want to fall asleep, will turn on, 24-hour waterfall noise or rain sounds or, campfire crackling noises. If I want to fall asleep, I just throw on a Titans game. They're one of the most unentertaining teams to watch, especially after Derrick Henry left. Holy shit, I can't sit still when I watch the Titans. 5-11. The Jaguars, a bit more entertaining than their divisional comrades, but I'm sitting up here wondering what happened to their little playoff run in 2023, or was it 22? I don't know. But when they went to the playoffs a couple years ago, what happened to that? I mean, I thought that was going to lead to something. Don't tell me you guys are done now. I don't know. I'm just going to slap them with the 6-11. I mean, they're in the AFC South, so they might sneak away with the division. But again, what are you going to do with that is the question. Slightly better stock is the next category here. These teams do just good enough to bag a playoff spot and then not do super well in the playoffs. Just kind of taking up space in the postseason since nobody else will. We'll start with the Buccaneers since I feel like they represent this category the best. If we're being honest, the Buccaneers are only going to the playoffs as much as they are due to the poor quality of their division, since there's really no competition there at the moment and there hasn't been for quite a few years. They're still clinging to the remnants of the effect Tom Brady left on them a few years ago, but that is going away and quickly. They're not a bad team, but they're not great either. Like I said, they're blessed by their bad division. And they're also not really growing nor decaying. They're just kind of hovering in the same mediocre spot. Looking at their schedule, it's pretty competitive. There are not very many easy wins here. It's nothing but competition and then just straight up better opponents. I have the Buccaneers going 9-8. They might win their division again because, again, there's really no one in that division who looks like they want it. So Bucks might see another playoff spot and then another first round exit. Next, you got the Vikings. And good God. I don't even know where to start with these guys. I just really feel like their regular season performance just will never correlate to their postseason performance, because they always look like a completely different team. Last year, they scored less points in the playoffs than games they won in the regular season. That should give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. I honestly think the Vikings sold their souls for the Minneapolis Miracle because they haven't done much of shit since in the playoffs. They're kind of riding in the same boat as the elite bottom feeders I just went over earlier, where they're really good until it matters most. The only difference is this isn't just a recent thing with the Vikings. This has been the case for them throughout the course of their franchise. It's like they're always looking like one of the most intimidating teams in the league, and then when they get to the postseason, they're blocked by some kind of paywall that prevents them from doing much of anything. I just don't know what more these guys need. They clearly know how to win. They just need to do it in the playoffs. I don't know why I'm getting into the playoffs so much. This is about the regular season. Even then, I can't really put a record on them, because they have a tendency of taking the average record from the media and wiping their ass with it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say that their floor is 1-16 and their ceiling is 16-1. I don't think they're that bad to where they'll go unvictorious, but not that good to where they'll go undefeated. I have them going somewhere in the 1-16 win mark. Surely they'll land somewhere around there. Shit, you can even argue that the Vikings belong in this next category, the I don't fucking know category. Teams that I just can't tell if they're growing or not, or if they have any idea what they're doing or what state they're in. We'll start this section with the Cardinals, who have just been one big tease of a franchise to their fans over the last decade at least. They've shown a lot of promise, but very little results. They had the big, surge of success in 2021. Don't know what happened to that, but ever since then, they just can't seem to get their footing, which sucks because they do have talent on that roster. They just got to utilize it. As far as what to expect this season, that's what this category is about. I don't know what to expect from these teams. I'm just going to slap the Cardinals with an 8-9. That wouldn't be surprising. Wouldn't be much different from what they've been doing for the past few years. 8-9 sounds about right. Next, you got the Bears, who define this section better than anybody. Last year was just a year like any other for the Bears. Have a young, talented quarterback be dragged down by coaching incompetence. And not just the quarterback, there is some talent on the Chicago Bears roster. They just cannot seem to get anything done with it, though. They're like the Cardinals, but with a humiliation fetish, because they're always losing in the most goofy and inexplainable ways possible. It's very interesting. But this year, they have Ben Johnson, who has had a great reputation with the Detroit Lions, so we'll see if he can, break the little coaching curse they got over there in Chicago. This could easily be the come-up year for the Bears, but I kind of tell myself that every year, and I won't let myself be fooled this time. I'm going to slap them with a 7-10. Which is pretty generous considering how they've been over the past few years. But, they got it this time. Next, you got the Bengals, and you can argue that they belong in the threats category because they've gone toe-to-toe and even beat some pretty good teams all last year. I just feel like the Bengals are the result of a 12-year-old managing a Madden team where they're so focused on having that super cool offense that they neglect their shit defense. But it does look like they went to work on fixing their defensive issue this past offseason, so that's good for them, especially in the draft. Hopefully they can piece it all together, or at least get a little something going, just do better than last year, because I don't see how you can do much worse. So if that Cincinnati defense starts to show some life again, then the Bengals could easily go back to being one of the best teams in the league. Nothing's for sure, but I'm going to have the Bengals going 11-6. Lot of tough opponents this year for these boys, but I have faith that they'll be able to win just enough to get into the playoffs again. The Cleveland Browns. They drafted 2 quarterbacks for some reason, as well as bring back Joe Flacco, on top of the whole Deshaun Watson contract thing. So the season hasn't even started yet, and they already don't know what they're doing. And I'm not surprised. This is classic Browns behavior we're seeing here. And I'm about to get a taste of what it's like to be a Browns fan as a Shedeur Sanders supporter. Though I don't think it'll matter who they put back there at quarterback, I think it'll still result in the same sloppy, disorganized mess of a team by the end anyway. Not to mention they went from being the top defense to being 19th in yards allowed per game, as well as being last in fucking turnover differential. You just never know with these guys. I'm gonna have the Browns going 8-1 because they seem like the type of team to tie. And there's the Dolphins. Another inconsistent team in the league. It's funny because on paper, the Dolphins look pretty solid. But what it is with them is they'll play great one game and then play like shit the next. That's the Dolphins, and that's how they've been for quite some time now. They did go hard in the paint this draft and offseason overall on the defense that was already doing pretty good. And the first half of their schedule is pretty light, and then in the second half, that's where shit gets dicey. The Dolphins can be good. They just gotta be consistent. That's their big weakness. I'll give them a generous 7-10. This year they just gotta rebuild and regroup. They shouldn't be worried about the playoffs right now. They should worry about getting a functioning team going for the upcoming seasons after this. Next, you got the Doormats, and this section is pretty self-explanatory. The opponents of these teams typically just wipe their feet and maybe even their ass with these franchises, and they show no type of promise for a successful upcoming future. I really don't have much to say about these teams, so I'm just going to hurry up and get them out of the way. The Giants. The Giants have been a mess for a very long time now, with only a single playoff appearance over the past few years. The 2022 season was the year that promised success for the upcoming seasons for the Giants. And then they just fell right back apart after that and haven't recovered since. And I feel like losing Saquon Barkley was like the fucking dagger to the Giants' chests for the decade. Now, I don't think we'll be seeing a successful New York Giants team anytime soon. Their current QB room looks fun, I guess. But it's also worth mentioning to look at their schedule this year. It is comically harsh. They're not getting anything done even if they wanted to. 4-13 Giants. Next you got the Raiders. They found some special talent in Brock Bowers. Hopefully that leads to something. That's about it. I have nothing else. I literally have nothing else to say about these guys. They're just subpar. Like literally. In the 21st century, the Raiders, Oakland or Las Vegas, whatever, they are the definition of subpar. I really don't know what it'll take to fix this team. I got them going 6-11. Maybe they'll get a few cheap wins. They're like the New York Jets, but with a better color scheme. And speaking of New York Jets, I feel like I'm one of the few people who had no type of faith in the Jets during their little hunt for success over the past couple years, trying to like recreate the Green Bay Packers or whatever the hell they tried to do. They're just cursed. They're a cursed franchise. Seemingly no type of talent can uplift the Jets or make them see any type of success. They just got Justin Fields essentially ending his career because that's what going to the Jets does to you. I mean, just ask Aaron Rodgers. Now, there is hope for Justin Fields. If he gets out of there quick enough, maybe his career isn't fully finished. We've seen this with Mecole Hardman. Originally a Chief, he went to the Jets in the 2023 season for a handful of games, but he managed to get the fuck up out of there and head back to the Chiefs before the curse could really sink into his soul. And then later that season, he would go on to catch the game-winning pass in the Super Bowl. Point is, he was able to get out of there quick enough. If Justin Fields is able to leave or get traded before the deadline, maybe his career will be saved and he can still find success on one of these teams. But as for the Jets, they're not going to do shit this season. 3-14. And speaking of Aaron Rodgers, that brings us to the final category. This category is special for the Pittsburgh Steelers because they are looking like grade A tryhards right now. So many big moves they've been making this offseason, and so little faith that I have in them to do anything that they haven't been doing. Now, normally I would put the Steelers in the slightly better stock category, but this year they seem to be going all out. They seem to be trying to take a different path this year. and I'm not really feeling it. Do y'all know about the 2020 Brooklyn Nets? You know, like, just because you're signing a lot of big names doesn't mean it's gonna amount to anything, especially if, you know, some of these guys are only gonna be here for a year and not have a whole lot of time to get some chemistry going. Also, majority of these guys are past their prime anyway. Like Aaron Rodgers is in his 40s now, as well as just coming from the Jets, as we just talked about. I also don't understand the whole get rid of George Pickens but bring in DK Metcalf thing. Like, they're the same fucking guy, it feels like. Like, Steelers, you're no doubt a solid team, and you're trying to escape your own curse of being first round exits. But I just don't see them doing any better than what they've been doing. So I'm gonna have them going 10-7. And this schedule they got this year is pretty fair. There's a lot of teams that'll for sure test this Justice League that they've seemingly assembled. Definitely an interesting route they're taking, but I'm a finalize them at 10-7. And I know 10-7 is what they went last year, but these guys tend to just do good until they secure that playoff spot, and then they just kick back once they secure it. And I have a feeling that that'll be the case this year as well. And that's just about gonna wrap up this abundance of uncertified football takes. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I ain't afraid of judgment or disagreement. I just love football. I'm excited for the season, and I'm excited to do this every week. And hopefully this is the start of some good things for this channel. Later, folks.